imagine we have done launches in the past. You have to do only physical launch, right? So now we have helped our developers during COVID, right? Launch a project without them opening their gallery, everything online, virtual. And we have helped them to sold out a project within 308 units within 28 minutes. So that in the past, you will never be able to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So because we have the tool ready to help.
Before we begin the podcast, have you gotten your free ebook? It's called the Build a Six-Figure Portfolio Guidebook. Now, inside it, we share with you the tips and tricks to bring your stock investing skills to the next level. The best part, it's only 10 pages long and it's totally free. Whether you're on Spotify or YouTube, the link to download is in the description, or you can go to www.firl.co/FREE or www.firl.co/free. Hey guys, it's been a while. Apologies for the hiatus, but finally we're back with another pod. And today we have a very interesting guest. All our guests are interesting, but this one is a different type of interesting because they are more of business owners. They are partners. Out of a team of 4, right? 4 partners. So half of them are here. And I'd like to introduce first CEO of MHub, Quek. Is that what you prefer?
Yes.
And of course, a friend of mine, Jason, who is the CMO. Perhaps to make sure that the other 2 don't get left out, we'll get the other 2 on.
So the others in our co-founding team is Joshua Ong. Who is our Chief Strategy Officer, and our CTO, Jonathan Saw. But also in our leadership team is Victor Chua, who's our Chief Business Officer.
I see. So it's 4+1.
Yes.
Yeah. I see.
In the leadership team.
So we will definitely touch about some of the leadership dynamics later on. It's a core question that I always ask. But I always like to start off with the human being. And maybe with you, Quek, first. Before the CEOs, before the industry, before working, right? Was there always an inclination into entrepreneurship, real estate, technology when you were young?
In fact, that's a very good question to begin with. And, I just probably just a couple of days ago, I was actually suddenly stumbled upon a video on Instagram, talking about old coins, right? Those probably in the 60s, you got the 50 cents coins and all this. Then suddenly reminded me myself like, hey, I used to keep all these 1968 coins or 1967, So then I couldn't sleep, that night. So the next morning, I go and find my, the tabong lah, right? So I finally found it, and I go and dig out all of my coins. I thought, wow, I'm gonna get rich, man. So why I say so is because since very young, in fact, I think probably 6 or 7, I have this habit of saving. I love money, I love like my mom give me maybe a pocket money of 2 ringgit. I'll always either save 150, because those is 50 cents you can buy a small meal. So ever since then, to me money concept is something pretty dearly to me. No one taught me why, why you need to save, why, it's just somehow it's
the gene.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe you say gene. Yeah. And I still remember when I was even younger, not younger, slightly older, maybe 8 years old, 9 years old. When you get to keep a lot of money, then I, when in a toilet, what I do? I actually count my money, 1 ringgit, 2 ringgit, 3 ringgit. Count, because when you have 100 over ringgit for kids like me, 8, 9 years is a big deal, Yeah. So I said, I can buy this toy that I want, buy that one. Then somehow I didn't get to buy anything because I feel that I want to save more.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that instinct in me that suddenly reminded me that, hey, actually the entrepreneur in me started very, very young. Because entrepreneur, you need to be a bit more, I wouldn't say money-minded, but at least you understand the money concept, right? You need money to exchange of goods, right? Those days the system barter, then after you introduce money, then you get, it's a currency to get things that you want in a fairer system, right? So therefore, I think that itself carried, I carried that in so-called instinct or habits or whatever throughout my entire childhood until teenage. I think even during the teen, my school days, I'm not a big spender because usually I'm a very kiam siap, I try not to buy things. My brother will say, hey, let's buy these expensive shoes. I was like, yeah, wow, spend 200 ringgit to buy that. I'll still continue to keep and save. I think then, in fact, I started my first, I think the other day we talked about it also. Apparently, 4 of us, I think easily 3 of us venture into something related to food. Right. My first so-called startup actually was after my college time, 18 years old. I actually, me and another good friend of mine, we actually bought into this franchise, a Vietnamese chicken rice franchise store. Right. So that was, I think, after Taylor's, I did South Restaurant Matriculation.
Right.
Then before I went into University of Nottingham for my chemical engineering degree, so I actually started this chicken rice business. Right. That actually is my first step into entrepreneurial journey.
Right.
To really understand how to run a business. How to really control your money, your costs, and we had two staff, right? One is, I think both are one is a chef and one is probably help to prepare. So and then that's also the first time I start going into people management, right? Because your staff may get sick or suddenly call off. What happened? What's next?
Yeah.
Unhappy. And then I still remember the franchise saw owner and say, hey, if you got staff issue, no problem, I will send my people to come and help you. I said, oh, okay. That this kind of concept of franchisor, franchisee, and then those things lah. So you and then you have to handle your landlord, you have to handle a lot of things, and then your students. Those days we actually put our stall in Sunway College, so you got your, you have to entertain all the feedback from the students. This really it gave me a very good insight.
Foundation.
Yeah, the foundation.
So Jason, did you also start a Vietnamese chicken store?
No. Before even I knew the word entrepreneurship,
yes,
I realized I was into it in my, I think, primary school.
Okay.
I used to do doodling in my classroom, and after a while, and I was like, became in my classroom, I was known for that, like doodling and drawing, and people like, wow, Jason, you're good at it. Wow, Jason, you're like, and people started offering money, to draw for them, 20 cents, 50 cents, that kind of thing, because primary
big
school,
money back in the day.
Primary school, can buy nasi lemak.
Yes.
So at first I felt bad. To be honest, I felt like, you give me money. I felt guilty for doing that. But after a while, it dawned upon me, this is a transaction. I do this and then I get this. So I started getting into it more and more. And one thing led to another. I got into comics and I started trading comics in secondary school. And then I got into my work. I worked in Astro and International House and a few other places. But pretty soon after working, I felt that I did not want to work for someone else. Because I was working late at night, and I'm like, this big boss of mine doesn't even know what I'm doing or doesn't even care necessarily because it's a big organization. I felt the need to be in charge and to be more directly involved in whether if it works out, I reap the rewards. If it doesn't work out, then it's me as well. So I felt that kind of a inclination to take ownership of that. So I don't know if I share this, but in one of the performance review that we were scheduled, I was so busy. I kept pushing.
This was back in your Astro days, right?
Yeah. Okay, I was trying to avoid saying yes, but Astro days. I was trying to avoid my performance review because I so busy, so much work. So instead of filling up the performance review sheet, I filled up my resignation letter.
Whoa.
And then I went into the room. I said, bosses, guys, I know this is supposed to be a performance review, but I just felt this need to resign instead. And like, what, Jason? What? So it was a big reaction. One of them I could tell was a bit offended, and the other one was like with a sympathetic face. Why do you do this? Why? But it was quite clear to me because my passion was no longer there, and I felt that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to build a business. I wanted to explore what I myself am capable with. So I started, like Quek mentioned, got into F&B as well. I started a Taiwanese dessert shop in Mutiara Damansara.
Is it like the shaved ice type?
Yeah. It was like the like
they used
like
to have this thing called it would have been your competitor probably Tong Pak Fu.
Yes, something like Tong Pak Fu. Yeah, but these taro balls and Taiwanese dessert. So that was something which me and some friends got into, and then from that experience, learn a lot, right? Learn a lot of lessons, painful ones as well.
Yeah.
Then decided that F&B is not so much for me. Then this whole tech thing came around, and I started a tech company, small outfit, and then dabble around into branding, marketing, and agency and creative work mostly. And then this opportunity came along. We came together and decided that I think it was in the days where the tech startup was such a hot thing. Everybody's going to tech startup. So we felt that somehow we were in a place where we could change the world. This is the narrative. They say, change the world with your tech. It's just 2 of us, 3 of us at a time, 4 of us. Then it was a small team, but the possibilities seemed
huge,
infinite. Yeah, it seems like we could do it.
I'll definitely touch on MHub, but before that, I think one thing that's very instrumental in a lot of business owners' journey is definitely how they were raised. And so maybe I want to go back to you, Quek. You mentioned that savings was part of your genes, right? How would you describe the impact of your parents in how you raise, and obviously the kind of values that you have, and what you bring to the workplace?
Well, my father was a government servant, to be honest. He was all this while, I think, throughout his whole career. He graduated from University of Malaya back then, in the 70s, I think. Then after that, so he's to him is I don't think he had taught me the whole entrepreneur concept, but he had rather told me one thing, in life you just have to be kind of like be accountable to what you do, right? So he told me that education is the basic, right? But what after education, it's your own. You're on your own. You want to venture any kind of field, industry, or whatever you like, just go ahead. And he's that kind of supportive father lah, I would say lah. So, and he also taught me a little bit of how shall I say, how to handle money during because my mom passed away when I was 16. So, and then after that, my dad had to, because I'm the youngest in the family, so I got 3 other siblings. So back then I was pretty close to him during my high school days. So he actually kind of giving me pocket money. Okay, every month this is how much you can spend. That's it, right? You want to invest, you want to take your money, you want to don't overspend it. So it started from there onwards. I kind of I treat it as a business. Okay, so if I got not enough money, okay, I do part-time, right? So go and work part-time, get more money, and either want to go for those days cyber cafes and all this, right? CC, right? Counter-Strike and all this. Everyone will do it, right? So, or you want to go Sunway Lagoon is back then. That was the biggest theme park, or the only theme park, right, in Klang Valley that's so famous, right? So so we have to control our spending, using that kind of. That's why the more I look at it, my father influence is pretty big there. So, and then the support from the family is I think that itself have given me a lot of flexibility. And when I started venture into MHub, even though I was working for my ex-boss. In fact, I didn't know how to open up this dialogue with my dad and say, hey, I want to go into...
Not like Jason, just, I quit.
Yeah. So I still remember that time I was like thinking how to tell him, like, hey, I want to go into, this journey full time, because I had a good job for about 7 years. Good
and
boss, good
what
job.
field was this?
It's in again, F&B, but more into manufacturing. I was a
package goods
more into like machineries.
I see.
Right. So my ex-boss imported machineries from Europe, and then I was brought in as a sales engineer, and then promoted as a product manager, and also became a kind of like his general manager overall, managing the whole team. So I grew helped him to grow a company from 2 to 3 man team to about 13 or 14 of us before I left. I also helped him to grow from maybe 2-3 million to close to 10 million sales. Before I left. So that's how I also got into a little bit of people management, because he also allowed me to kind of help him to run this whole company freehand, like the people I want to bring in, the how to set up a new department, the SOPs, what sort of pricing. So he was a very supportive boss. I learned a lot from him, really.
So how did he feel when you... Now I know why it was difficult for you to open up, I don't think Jason had the same kind of boss.
Yeah.
But why was it like, how was it on the day you decided to, branch out on your own?
Because again, the money instinct of me, or the entrepreneur in me, that since young, I actually wanted to venture something myself, right? So I even told my ex-boss, maybe the 2nd or 3rd year of my career, I already told him that, hey, boss, I may want to start my own business on one day, right? I don't know.
He was totally okay with it, right?
No, he said that, he said that, why don't you stay here? I will make you a partner one day, right? Yeah. So I think after that opportunity came, right? It was late 2014. I think another co-founder of ours, Joshua, came back with this idea and said, hey, why don't we do something in the mortgage side of things, right? So over here, I was like, hey, I also had a very big challenge to get mortgage loan for my probably first property that I invested in.
You didn't like that friction?
Yeah, because back then, you see, everything is manual. You just have to, in fact, you just have to know the bankers or the people in the industry sometimes for you to get a loan, because no one taught me how to get a loan, right? And unlike now, you can Google a lot, all this, maybe you have a speaker like yourself, a gurus like yourself who teach people online. Back then, not so many, right? You just have to pay to attend courses only, right? So now, then, fortunate enough, I had a very, it took me long months to get my loan. Imagine if I didn't know another banker of mine, a good friend, that introduced a very good mortgage banker in one of the local bank, right? So I wouldn't get a loan, and I wouldn't get the return that I get now, because in fact, this is one of my best investment, almost 100% gain.
And this is in
on
a span
paper.
of a few years?
About probably 2014 back then,
so
2013.
9 years?
Yeah. So almost 100% gain of my investment lah. So then I was like, hey, Joshua came back and said, hey, why don't I do something in the mortgage space and do this, what I call streamline whole loan application process, do it digitally. So that's why, okay lah. Then back then I got this issue. Then I said, hey, I look for a friend of mine here, right? 3 of us, hey, let's do it together lah.
So Jason, how did you come in the picture from your perspective?
Sure. So like I shared the last time, just a few minutes ago, was that we saw a huge opportunity to do something in technology. And when Joshua talked about it, we saw a similar model in Australia, and he thought that Malaysia I think is ripe for disruption in this mortgage referral business. So we thought, we had this conversation, we talked about it, we brainstormed, and I think also going back to your earlier questions, me and Quek, we were saying that, hey, we have a window of opportunity, a window to go crazy and do something big. Instead of working for someone, we want to try our own hand in building something for ourselves. And it was this real conversation that if we don't do it now, we don't know when we'll ever do it again, or we may get 20 years from now regret. Oh, we should have done that. We should have done that. So we thought, no, let's do it. Of course, it's crazy. Ask anyone who's run a startup or who's an entrepreneur. The early days is a very scary thing. So we had a conversation. We talked about it and we said, okay, there is opportunity here. Me, Quek, and Joshua. Of course, at the time, Joshua was still in Australia. Me and him, we were working in cafes, and we decided, let's do this. Let's take it 1 year at a time. First year, let's see how it goes. And fast forward now, 8 years, 8 years now. and we're still at it. So yeah.
In 2015, maybe you can share, Jason, what were these fears that you were talking about? Because I think one of the less talked about things in entrepreneurship is the relationship between your business and you as a person, in that you have different personalities and therefore like different fears, different concerns start to come out. So and there were 4 of you all. So I'm quite sure that there were multiple of these fears. Maybe you can share.
Sure. I'll try not to take too long. Sure. But so it started with 2 of us and Joshua, and then we tried. We went to banks because it started off as a mortgage referral type of a platform, and the word fintech was brand new. In fact, when we were doing it, I told a friend of mine who's in the tech scene, and he says that what you're doing is fintech. And I told my partners, hey guys, what we're doing is fintech, huh? Fintech, what's that? It's like, oh cool, yeah, it's fintech. So we went to banks, we use this hashtag fintech everywhere we go. And people like, yeah, sure, come on in. And we was quite surprised that all the banks were actually very welcoming to hear us out, right? But when it came to actually inking a deal and moving ahead with something, it was still very early. They were also not ready. We were also honestly not ready because we were new. We didn't have any track record. We didn't have any real tech behind us. In fact, it was more a lot of conceptual, pushing for proof of concept. And one big thing that we needed to do was to also build a tech, and that was very expensive, right? That cost a lot of money. And we decided that I think we need to get our CTO in, and we approached John. John, who is now our CTO, we had long talks with him. We convinced him.
What was the hesitation? Why was it?
He had a stable job.
I see.
Yeah. Right? He had a
very stable job.
Good.
It was with Ringgit Plus.
Yeah. So stable job, good money, and then he's going to give up that salary to do this thing, which is not a sure thing.
Yeah.
There's always a risk element. You don't know. So come in year 1, year 2, we built the product, and there was some, I think one thing that really helped us was the government grant.
Yeah.
We applied for a government grant, and we had some money, seed fund
from Platcom Ventures.
From Platcom Ventures. Shout out to Platcom Ventures, Birunta.
Yes.
And it gave us the seed fund to pay our then outsourced vendor to build it. But then we decided, no, we needed, because we are always iterating, we're always refining, we're always adding features, and we needed someone. So John said, finally, eventually, thank God, he said yes. And so we have our team in place.
So over a bakute meal.
Over a meal, of course. It's always over a meal. And when we were in place, then we after going to the market and trying this for a while, we decided we had to make a hard decision. Will the market accept us, and will it grow? And we decided that I think we needed to pivot. And that's where, from a more fintech type of approach, we went into property technology, because we felt that that's a market that is more welcoming to us. And I think we can really solve the problem in the property transaction journey, rather than on the loan side of it back then. But now, coming back full circle, we are revisiting the loan referral plan, because we've already kind of built for the core transaction of the property. It only makes sense in the value chain to then provide loan referrals as well.
So I want to get right into MHub, but then I got one more question, which was, how do you decide from the outset the rules of the partnership? I think that is another aspect of businesses that needs to be talked a lot more about.
Yeah.
How do you all decide? Because I hear, do you all do it equally? Do you all have one person? In Mandarin, they say that one mountain only can have one tiger, right?
Yeah.
So different people have different philosophies.
Sure.
How maybe Quek can share what was the thought process? Why you CEO? Why Jason CMO and the CTOs and all that?
Yeah, tricky questions. I think when we first started, okay, the time Joshua mooted the idea, right? So then we were doing some brainstorming session about the business model. Then also, of course, we have to talk about shareholding. We talk about the structure. So in fact, I volunteered myself. I told them and say, hey, look, I'm gonna. If you want to do this, I'm okay to do it full time. So once you raise some funds, so long it covers, we have to talk about reality, right? So it covers some of my expenses, right? Because I got installment to pay, I got all this. So I'm willing to jump full time. So in fact, that's how we started. So I say I can become the CEO. And because I said I brought in knowledge of all this people management back in my previous job, so I say I can start with that, right? So I think as we learn, because as CEO, I have never been a CEO before in my lifetime, right? For sure, and none of us had become like yourself, and never become a CMO, or Joshua never become a CSO, CTO. Everyone's learning. So, but we also look into our skill set and our personality. So, therefore, of course, that's how we segregate our roles, and we intentionally look for a co-founder who has a slightly different background from each other. And also different personality. But of course, one thing that we need, or one aspect that we always look for is the chemistry, right? You need to be in the team that will have a very good chemistry or chemical reaction among the founding team, right? Like at least, we went out before we even confirm, hey, we bring in him or whoever gonna start this journey together. We actually talk. Really, go deep and talk about our journey and also I think also because some of us already know each other for quite some time. Like Joshua and I, we were already friends since Form 1, right? And Joshua and John were I think they know each other from kindergarten, and then Joshua knew Jason from church, right? A couple of years. So that's where, at least we know each other for quite a while now. Yeah.
Do you have thoughts on, going into business with friends, right? Because I think many people also, I hear say, never be in business with friends, right?
Yeah.
And here you are, basically, you guys probably would have been, all four of you all would have been friends in primary and secondary school at uni, right?
Yeah. I know you're coming.
No, that's not my opinion.
I know,
but there are a lot of people have this opinion.
It's very common that partnerships go sour. And things get heated. And there's always that risk for sure, right? But what Quek said, we started off as friends, but even from that journey, we had a clear understanding and communication that this is what we're trying to build towards. And it's always a matter of communication. And it's not whether we fight. I like to say this, that it's not whether we confirm fight one. If you say you won't fight, that's unrealistic. Okay. But it's whether we can fight well.
I see.
The rules of engagement and who does what and sacrifices and how do we make decisions. That's always something that we had to refine and fine tune. So I would say we, as partners, we have complementary skill sets, complementary temperaments and personalities. All I can say is just we got lucky lah. Okay, we got lucky that we have a team that works well together, and even when I talk to if I see other companies and other startups, it's something that is lacking, a strong core leadership team. Something about our leadership team works, and we are always thankful for that because it works, right? But I think I think if we go back to our culture and our core values, trust is a very big element in how we function and how we make decisions and everything. It's really about that trust, and we keep it tight. We have regular meetings, regular leadership team huddles, and there's a lot of things going on. But I think at the core of it, at the foundation, is that trust and then friendship. It's not just all about work.
So do you all do like fun stuff?
His motto is work hard, play harder. Right? Wow. Trust me, this guy plays very hard.
So what y'all do at the free time? What sports? I don't know, game together. I mean, that'll be very interesting, right? Co-founders. Game together. I mean,
going back to food, we eat a lot together.
I see.
And we drink a lot together. And we also
party.
We include our management team, and we include the whole company. So that kind of culture it's in the whole company, the whole organization.
How about the families? Do the families meet?
Yeah, once in a while. Okay. We have meals together.
Right.
So that's important. Yeah.
Okay, look, I really like to go down this path of discussion, but I have to remember that I have not asked the question about MHub yet. So, Mr. CEO, what in the world is MHub? I think when I first looked into the website and some of the slides that Jason gave me, I couldn't get it immediately. Eventually, I roughly got it. But maybe in your own words, right? How will you describe MHub?
Okay, MHub in general. Okay, I mean, a lot of people also think like, oh, what exactly is MHub, right? When we first come up with that idea also, right? So, in short, we are a property transaction platform. So, primarily focus on transaction, anything to do with transaction, because transaction it's in property it's a very long process. Right, unlike any e-commerce, you just go there, I order, and get transacted. Next day you get delivered. Right, in property it doesn't work that way. Right, especially the whole cycle takes months in the past. Right, so what we have successfully done is we actually streamline the whole process by digitalizing the whole manual processes. That usually you have to meet and greet and everything pen and paper. We digitalize it. That's the first step of we call it 3D right? Is it 3D? Yeah, digitalization, right? So you move anything manual to digital.
Yeah,
right. So that's what we did. So we also go further to do automation now, because when you have digital. You have digitized everything. Now next is you try to automate and speed up the whole conversation between the stakeholders. So we link up, we probably the first one that would successfully link up developers with their real estate agents, with their financing partners, which is the bank officers, and then the lawyers, and of course the last one is consumer. Right, these are the 5 stakeholders in a property transaction cycle that you have to you need to really close the gap now. So again, back to the keyword property transaction platform. So we are not just to some we are seen as a software, but that's our base, right, to begin with. Then we are building an ecosystem now to link to, like I mentioned, the mortgage. We go back to our first ever idea, the mortgage referral system. So now we talk to banks, a few banks. We already have successfully engaged and got them to be our partners to offer a straight-through process and to digitize the entire loan application process. So it takes time for banks to recognize the importance of technology. And now a lot of banks already have a digital transformation team.
Yeah.
So I think the timing is ripe. So now therefore I think in the next few years things will change, especially in the mortgage space and also in the legal space as well. Recently the government is also coming out with this initiative of what we call digital, or they're trying to go e-conveyancing.
RegTech, right? Regulation. Tech,
yes.
like that.
So the Ministry of Housing, local ministry, they have actually started this what I call HIMS, Housing Integrated Management System. I think a couple of years back. So now they are actually pushing developers to even do a ultimately they wanted the sales and purchase agreement being signed electronically, right? So now they have actually approached us, and we actually will be probably the first one to launch with in the market to roll out what they call full integration with HIM system, the HIMS, to allow developers to actually not just manage internally. Now it's communicating with the government agency and send all these details to the government agency, and vice versa. They will get the feedback on whether this booking is genuine and this what's it called, the transaction is firm up. Then the next step would be e-signing online.
Yeah. So in summary, actually what MHub is a developer OS.
Yep.
A property transaction.
A developer what?
System.
Sorry, can you?
OS, operating system.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So we're talking about to manage, to measure, to maximize people, properties, processes, right? And we bring people together, all the different, like coming back to the problem statement, it's so disconnected from the sales team to the project team to the lawyers and the bankers. It's quite disconnected, and the process takes long. So what we do is we provide a platform where everyone can work together, work better together.
So Jason, let me ask the question this way. How will what you do impact me as a consumer at the end of the day? I don't have the stats here, but I remember some of the slides you said that it speeds things up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But maybe walk through maybe like a step by step, right? Let's say I don't have a property. Okay. And I understand your start with a marketing arm where you try to get leads first, right?
Sure.
So maybe all the way from leads to the purchase of property.
Right.
Walk me through all the different business verticals that MHub is in.
So we are a closed ecosystem for the developers, and the key solutions are marketing solutions, sales, post-sales, and property management solutions. But you will not necessarily see us upfront because we are behind the scenes.
But we will feel the effects of.
Yes, we are B2B2C. So what happens is we power the digital transformation of property developers, right? If you're looking for a listing, that's not what we do, right? We are more like when you will decide to view a project, that's where developers use our solutions to our property CRM, for example, to manage the leads, and then from there to a property sales booking management system where you see real time what units are available and every single unit, down to the unit, the details. And we're excited to now also launch a 3D view of our buildings and different things there where you can zoom in to a specific unit and make a decision. So it's data driven.
See the toilet.
yeah, essentially you can, depending again on the setup.
But just to be clear, you guys are focused mainly on residential units, right?
Yes. For now, primary residential. We also have commercial, but the focus is more of residential primary. But the effects you're asking me is really to be able to make real-time and data-driven decisions. In the past, if you're interested in a unit, then what happens is the sales team will then need to check on their sales chart, stickers on the wall, call their office, is it still available, this and that, very old school. And if say the sales initiative is happening in Penang and Johor and KL and different places, it's you can imagine the hassle working like Excel. But with MHub, with our showroom, they can just log in and see real time what is available, what's not available. So at the core, the heart of it is our property sales booking management system, right? And that tech enablement, that digital transformation helps them transact a lot faster. Okay, if it takes 6 to 9 months in the past, now we're moving it to below a month or even shorter.
Below a month, wow.
That is the goal.
This includes the loan application process.
Until signing.
Yes. Of course, it's not just the technology that has to be in place, but also the people. That's why one of our taglines is a people-powered property platform, right? So while we are moving towards a speedier transaction, it takes time for not just systems to be upgraded, but people's mindset to be upgraded as well. And that's where we are at. Yeah.
So let me explain it in my own words and see whether it makes sense. So the first thing that your software and your platform helps the developers is to pair up the right agents to the right people looking for a property. So if I'm looking for a property, you'll be able to tell that, okay, this agent has this specialization, say in Klang, wherever, or this particular area in Klang, and I know this guy is looking for this particular area in Klang, and then you make that first connection.
Not quite.
Okay.
So if I were to keep it in a simple sense, when a developer comes to us, like any of our 120 developers that came to us, they will say, yes, we will use it, your platform. They will load all their units and all the deals onto our system.
Okay.
Right? And next thing they will bring to the system is the sales teams, as well as the bankers and the lawyers, right? So the sales team will go out and sell, whether internal sales or agencies and real estate agents, and they will log on to the system and see what's available, not available, right? We provide the tools for speedier decision making and real time view. We don't do the matchmaking to the agents. That is not what we do, but we have the CRM tool. Once a lead is in, so whatever digital marketing or other marketing initiatives, it will come into that's the starting point of a buyer coming to the system.
So you make it easy for the developers to assess their different agents, how good they are, and things like that.
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, to measure, to manage, to maximize properties, people, and processes. Yeah, that's what we do.
I think probably I want to add on to what Jason's point is. Going back to your questions, what does a consumer will be able to get out of this, right? Imagine we have done launches in the past. You have to do only physical launch, right? So now we have helped our developers during COVID, right? Launch a project without them opening their gallery, everything online, virtual. And we have helped them to sold out a project within 308 units within 28 minutes. So that in the past, you'll never be able to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So because we have the tool ready to help developers to pre-filter their customers, to get all this interest, beforehand. So during the unit selection day, you don't need to actually travel. You as a consumer, you just sit at home, wait until the countdown timer, say like 10 o'clock. Tickets, yeah, then you just pick the units.
Exactly.
That's it. And then you get your unit that you want, right? So everyone is rushing. We got thousands of buyers, during COVID, or even now, they're still using it, that to rush in during the so-called virtual unit selection session, not day anymore, because you don't need a day to finish the whole unit selection in the past. So within half an hour, every unit is picked.
So typically this will take 2 to 3 days for that whole process, the balloting and unit selection. But what we did was bring it down, like Quek mentioned, 300 units in below 30 minutes, right? And the VOA was very cool because what they did was they decided to show on a big screen our site plan, our showroom, and the units were all being graded out one by one,
So imagine
the buyer,
the fear of missing out.
Yeah, I want that unit. People start booking, and then the developers were so happy. Seriously, they were like, wow, they're so happy because they screenshot screen grab the whole thing, and it was very happy.
I think not just developer, the consumer itself is I don't need to go and queue anymore, right? Like queue. Some you see in the past, you have to queue overnight just to get the number, the ballot number. Then only you go and choose your unit. Come on, we're in such a digital world. You still want to queue like hours or days just to get the ballot number.
And anyone, as long as they have access to your platform, they can go and book with you or like select a few people.
Yeah, we have. Okay, that comes the complication. You see, we allow developers to set their own rules. Certain developers say, "Hey, okay, I want everyone come and rush in, or free for all, or I want it to be like a balloting way." Right, I have I've selected pre-filtered a couple of them. Maybe out of 500, I pre-filtered to 100 because I need to make sure they qualify for loan first, right? So because eligibility is also a big thing, right? Because I also don't want, I want a fast turnaround for my units, right?
So MJ, I think just to share, our big goal is to be the standard in all property transactions in Southeast Asia. So that standardization process actually takes efforts to understand what are the current processes and what the different developers currently practice right now. And I think we're happy to say that in the early days, they were like, developers were telling us, you do this, you do that. Now they come to us and say, hey, MHub, how should we do it best? Right? What's the best practice? Because we've seen so many in the market. We've done 2,000 projects for them. We kind of know what is the best, most ideal way to do things. And that moves towards our standardization of things, right? Whether they want to, but of course, they have their own strategies and approach. But if they want the most seamless and ideal one, how to go about doing it and what would maximize their profits and how to go to market with their projects.
How is the experience like for the developers and their staff to onboard on your platform? How long does it take for them to learn it? Things like that.
For new developers, it depends on number of modules because we have very comprehensive end to end because we have just mentioned 4 suites of 4 segments solutions: marketing, sales, post sales, and property management. So if you are just coming to us and say, hey, I just need a sales solution, then it's that pretty fast, right? That probably less than a week. We can set it up. You can run. We have in the past we have done it 24 hours as well. Yeah, like the developers say, yeah, I'm gonna launch tomorrow. Do you have anything, something quick? I say, okay, why not? We take the challenge, So it depends on how. It's actually 2 ways, lah, right? If your information are ready, everything's ready, so we can onboard quite fast, right? So now typically it's about 7 days. Yeah.
So one very interesting stat is that 40% of all property transactions in Malaysia,
primary market, yes,
comes through MHub. Yep. Now, I want to go back to what you said earlier on about 1 month. So you said that the traditional, in the past, it took 9 months, right? From a person saying, I want to buy this property to actually getting a loan and then getting the keys. Or not the keys, but signing the SPA. When you say that you want to reduce it to 1 month, is it a target or is it the average right now?
Currently, we have transactions that convert pretty fast because they do the pre-filter, right? So some even within days, some even why is it taking so long? Sometimes you also have to zoom into the problems, right? Why I'm saying that there are problems is because of loan eligibility is a big thing.
The bankers,
right? The bankers, even the buyer's affordability. Whether are they what's it called? What's the word? Financially viable to buy this property, or do they need to get the creditworthiness? Have they done enough checking, or do they have a very good credit track record, right? If not, usually they'll get their spouse or their family members to be the joint buyers, so that will complicate the whole process, right? In the past, I would say why 6 months, why 9 months, because the whole process is very manual, right? And then there's a back and forth going on between the developers and the real estate agents and the bankers. Because imagine this is a manual process. Yeah. So every time I need to follow up on the loan application, I have to call the bankers and how, right? So even loan is approved, then I have to chase the buyers to sign, right? Back and forth, and then later on I have to prepare the documents, with the lawyers, right? So this whole process, ding dong, and sometimes turnaround time of the loan, because the loan is cancelled, then I need to find a new buyers. Right, so I know probably I have a waiting list, but it's all manual. So I have to slot in someone later on to fill into this, this unit, and then that actually drags the whole process. Why we say less than 1 month? It's not a target. It's actually already happening in our current situation. That's so great. Of course we have the like Jason mentioned, we have the best practice, right? If a developers follows our best practices, usually it's less than a month.
Yeah.
Right.
Just what I was about to say is because the speed of it doesn't depend on us completely. Like I mentioned earlier, we are a closed ecosystem. Once the developer says we want to use MHub, they onboard their sales team, they onboard their their bankers, their lawyers, of course the buyers as well. The buyers also have to want to play ball. So we have provided the platform for seamless communication and frictionless, as per what Quek said earlier on. So if we want to do it as even up to a week, it's definitely doable, right? But I think what's happening right now is the different users, different parties are catching up and moving towards that.
So the bankers will also have access to the platform that you're mentioning to see some of the stats and all that.
Yes. Because we are a suite of different solutions. So for the bankers, once a booking is made, they can then get the leads for the mortgage application, right? So like I'm a buyer, come in, I chose this project, and I can do in our platform CTOS check, right? Or any credit CRIS, and know what's my loan eligibility, and from there apply for bank A, bank B, bank C, right? But we also provide solutions to connect with the best loans for them, and then it now speeds up. Yeah.
So it speeds up the banker's job as well.
For sure.
But when you say these three stakeholders, usually which is the one that causes the most delay in the process?
Obviously, loan is the big thing. It's the biggest. So then, of course, sometimes it's also depending on the strategy of the developers. Certain developers that say, hey, okay, because I have to put a disclaimer because sometimes the turnaround time of the transaction cycle, it's longer. Sometimes it's not because of processes. It's also because of product. Right, because if let's say the product is not how should I say
the pricing strategy.
Yeah, the pricing strategy, the location, certain this is beyond our control, right? Because if let's say a product being launched at a different at a difficult timing, right, or price it, just say imagine during the height of COVID, a lot of premium market properties are affected because the pricing it's not so favorable to this type of project because you don't have foreign buyers coming in during that time. So, but transactions still happening because a lot of people say, hey, who's gonna buy properties during the COVID? But we have seen transactions happening, bookings are coming in.
Money.
Yeah, Malaysians are. In fact, a lot of properties are being sold that time are the affordable ones and are the bigger units because a lot of buyers feel that, hey, I stuck at home for the longest time of my life.
I don't like the size of my
house. I want to upgrade. In fact, that's happening and landed sell very, very well.
And I think in terms of numbers that you all actually do better during COVID.
Yes, in fact, COVID was, I wouldn't want to say this word, the blessing word, but look, it's actually to us,
it accelerated.
Accelerated the whole digital adoption. So in fact, our sales grew 3 times compared to 2019 during 2020. So I think in fact, that we always have the image, right? What caused a digital transformation? Not your CEO, not a CFO. It's the another C, which is COVID. Yeah. Actually push everyone that, hey, look, you should really. Yeah.
But in a way, because you guys started in 2015, you guys were ready.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of businesses it's kind of like insurance. They only start paying one to get insurance after they get their heart attack. But you guys already had insurance and heart attack made you all stronger.
So it's like a reaction rather we were
proaction. You guys.
So we were very proactive about it. But I would say also it's yes, COVID accelerated it, but it was going to happen anyway. That's how we saw it. Digitalization of anything, it's the tech of everything is happening in all industries. It's just that property takes a bit a longer journey, and that's why we have
because of multiple stakeholders and administration.
Correct,
and all that.
Correct. Things have been done a certain way for a very long time. So when it comes to digital transformation, it takes a while for people to warm up to it and get to that place. But eventually, developers have to catch up. There's no doubt about it. If you do look at studies, even at KPMG, EY, whatnot, you will see that buyers' expectations are also moving towards a more digital, the way the buyers, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and the buyers now are different. The mindset, the expectation of getting the information and real-time information and all these kind of things, it's moving towards that, right? And even purchasing journey is not just a purely physical thing. It's not or purely an online thing. Definitely, you need to see the unit. But prior to making that decision, there's a lot of research online, right? So it has to be a hybrid, integrated, holistic approach. Absolutely. And not just a one way or one the other. I think developers we realize, are catching up to that. And the more forward-thinking ones who adopt technology and adopt this kind of tools, they see the benefits, definitely.
What's stopping these developers from saying, I think we can do it ourselves, right? And I know a lot of, even in different industries, they're wondering, why are we letting some smaller company do it? I think we've got the resources to do it. Why do you think they don't do it? Why do you think they don't become your competitors?
Well, the biggest advantage we have is actually the community, right? Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right? So what we know is because we have like close to 150 developers, not just in Malaysia. We also venture out to Indonesia. So we hear a lot of feedbacks and comments, and we also go down, or we call it turun padang, go down to look at how developers run their campaign, right? So if you are just one developer, you only see what is happening within your organization, but we get to see 150 perspective. So imagine what kind of advantage we have over another company that you only have within your own parameters, right? So that actually gives us a huge advantage. Right. So we always tell developers, yes, you can set up your own digital team, build your own MHub, go ahead, right? Because you have your own funds, you can do it. But we would definitely have a better access to all this information than you alone, right? So and also, if a developer go and set up an MHub equivalent, they can't grow this business.
It's only for them.
Yeah, it's only for them.
Yeah.
And it's only to reduce their OPEX, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
And how much really?
Yeah. So, and we are actually charging them like a fraction of how they actually set up, right? And when you set up a team, you have to maintain the team, It's not cheap to maintain a digital transformation team, hire your own tech people, hire your own product manager, hire your own scrum master and all this, right? And yet you still need to make sure your apps, the application that you build yourself, it's of world class. Yeah. We are building world class application here, right? So imagine, so that's why we always joke among ourselves. Everyone can build a Grab. Can you be as good as Grab?
Yeah,
right. Can you be as good as Shopee? Right. So you don't have that community. So
we used to say that you guys cost probably less than 1% of the developers' expenses
if they were to build themselves.
No, if you guys, do you all think you are less than 1% of the cost of?
I would say probably less than 5%. Yeah, okay. To be safe, less than 5% of the entire GDV of the building.
But I would say also, coming back to your question, I think it's a great question, by the way. For me, it was a KPMG report that said that this whole digital transformation for developers, many would want to try to do it themselves, and historically, after 2-3 years, they will spend X million.
They overspend,
and then typically it won't work out because it's not their core business.
It's not core. Yep.
They should focus on their core business and allow other people who will focus on that to help them.
Yeah.
To do what we do best, and I think that's the correct way. Not saying that it won't work out, because I've seen there's a handful who've tried and actually they have a decent product, but there's always a ceiling to it because they're going to be only and other
it's
developers.
It's a cost center for them,
correct?
But you guys, a profit center.
And also, if they were to going back to that whole scalability of it, they will not. Another developer will not be comfortable using another developer's product. It doesn't make sense, right?
And they're scared to share data.
Exactly.
So I want to go then now into how you guys acquire these clients, right? So I think it's a 2-part question. The first is, especially when you all were starting out, I think a lot of budding entrepreneurs will also want to know, how do you get the big clients? I've seen some of the clients that you mentioned. Of course, feel free to mention them at your own comfort.
Yeah.
Some of these names that you got in are huge, and you do not achieve 40% of residential transactions without having big names, right? Obviously. So that's my first question. How do you get these clients, especially in the early days? I think today it's not difficult anymore.
Yeah.
But certainly that's the first. And the second thing is, how do you decide on the pricing? Of course, share things that are not sensitive, but this developer, how do you charge them, and maybe even the average sales that you make from a developer? So we start.
Maybe I'll take the first question, you take the second question.
The numbers question.
Yeah. So that is a really good question, and that is the biggest challenge really, because you can't just be a solution looking for a problem. You need to find.
I would like to.
Exactly. So in our early days, and just for the record, we are not like linked to these developers in any way. We are independent on our own, and we are genuine in our approach to developers. So credit also goes to the team and our developer relation team, our customer support, our customer success team, and also the leadership team definitely. We were just knocking doors and engaging with them and really building and listening first. Hey, this is what we want to do. Would you be open to explore using this? So such and such solutions, right? And of course, the early days, like you rightly put it, was challenging because even to explain, what to.
And these people listening to you are probably in their 60s, grey hair.
Yeah. So we've met all kinds of people, right? I would say we had one regret that we had. We didn't do a rejection counter. In the early days, we rejected left, right, and center like nobody's business.
Okay. Oh, rejected developers?
No, rejected the developer. They rejected us.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Not we reject them. Why would we do that?
Okay.
Yeah. So we went to many, and I think if you're saying as advice to the people who are trying to do something similar, is that people give up too easily sometimes. After 5 times, after 10 times, or rejected, then they said that's it. If you study enough entrepreneurs and you study enough businesses,
a lot more no's.
Yeah, you get 99 no's before you get 1 yes. Yeah, right.
Of course, that's a pretty good start, already.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So we had a vision, we had the goal, and we had something I like to say is visionaries see common sense before it's common, right? Visionaries see common sense before it's common. To us, this makes sense. To us, this is the future. This is going to be a standard, right? But the challenge is to get everyone else to see it and buy into that. So the challenge is then to connect with like-minded people, like-minded developers who say, hey, I see what you're trying to do here, and I'm open, I'm happy to explore together. And those are the kind of people we just build rapport and build relationship and hear and get feedback. And because ultimately we want to solve their problems, right? And be relevant to the entire market. So the early days, yes, boys like SP Setia, IJM, all of these bigger developers, many of them were, we had to do a lot of dating. I say not actually dating, maybe he did, but for me.
A lot of courting, a lot
of meeting up with them and sharing and piloting. So one of the bigger ones actually even say, okay, let's do this, 6 months over kind of period, and then let's evaluate every step of the way if it's working out. And the stats were very encouraging. And once we got the first few key bigger ones, like you mentioned, everyone else just came along. Oh, if it's good enough,
you need one.
SPCT IGM, it's good enough for the rest of everyone else. So
yes, that's right.
So that was how we did it. The grit, right, and also the relationship building and listening.
How long did it take before you all got your first big one? And are you at liberty to share who was the first big one?
Probably a year.
A year?
I still remember back then what we did with one of the major client that we had. We literally courting them a year, and we even gave them like a
good deal,
very good deal, like a 6-month trial.
Wow!
Because we just need to, back then, we were nobody. We are so small. No one knows about us, and they just like about our solution that we can bring to them. But for them to give us green light to try, we need to give them something more lah. So then we discuss, okay, let's give it a try. Because if we don't get these big names in, it's so much harder for us to to scale.
It was a strategic call more than just a commercial one.
It's like how Hai Di Lao have a lot of free food outside.
Precisely, right? So yeah. So second questions. You were saying.
But wait, sorry. Before that, actually, I want to get a sense of, sometimes conversations about entrepreneurship is too strategy level and all that. So, but I understand that in a year in entrepreneurship is a long time, and of course, before you even get in your first client, these clients are cash flow, right? Essentially, and I understand that you all got financing through grants, and then I think I saw on your sites angel investor, right? How was it like surviving with either no revenue or even very, very low amounts of revenue? Because there's 4 mouths, right?
No, by then you have grown a bit.
Yeah.
By then it was bigger. Okay.
One word, scary.
Scary. Yeah. So every day you log into your Maybank, check the.
Yeah, I'm telling you, back then we were like I think the very initial days was still okay because like I say, just probably the 3 or 4 mouths, right, to feed. And then back then we were still like, okay lah, we haven't really turned full time. We still got good enough amount of saving there, right? Because we're still working. Some of us are still working. I was actually, in very early days, I was actually working part-time for MHub before.
So this grant money was actually more for the additional hires that you were getting.
Yes,
especially
grant came
development.
Grant came in only I turned full time, right? The early days of 2015, 2016, we were still doing odd job here and there because we are still trying to find that formula.
The product market.
Yeah, the product market, very, very important, I think. We were pivoting here and there, trying to find the first revenue. When we thought we got the first revenue, actually it wasn't the first revenue, right? Because it didn't come as a recurring. So I think that ongoing effort of try and error for about 2 years before we really relaunch our core product in 2017, somewhere in August. That's where we really get serious buy-in from the developers. I think we had our first 4 clients who seriously paid us a good amount of money, and that's how we start growing, and we start bringing in people, our staff, hiring more just to make sure we fulfill the request. I think one thing echo what Jason mentioned, grit. The grit in us is very obvious because we actually keep on going out, turun padang, like Jason mentioned also, listening. We really listen to our clients' feedback, and we immediately change it and do it better. And then that's how they recognize us as someone that who willing to grow with them. Then they give us chance lah. So I think the early days is more of like relationship building. Trying to prove our not haters lah. Some of the naysayers wrong. This is also we want to do it.
Who are some of these big naysayers? You say?
Well, obviously
name and shame,
you have you have friends also say, hey, you sure you can do this? Sure cannot lah. The property is already like that. For many years, saturated. You go, I probably grew all these big names. So because listing portal, they thought we are building another.
Yeah,
listing
that's another
portal,
interesting distinction,
right? Because we are not building a listing portal because they don't know what we are building. So you have a lot of naysayers say, hey, no lah, you're so crowded already. Why you go and build this? So if you go and listen to all this comments, I think we wouldn't have what we have built for now.
Our challenge is because we didn't have a reference point.
Yeah.
Truly, when we were building it and brainstorming, we were like going around searching online. Like for example, Grab is a Uber of
you had no Uber.
So we tried looking around for the first model. Yes, we had for the loan referral, we had an idea.
It's an Australian company, right?
But what we wanted to do, a property sales booking management system, and from there, the end-to-end thing is something that we couldn't find any reference, at least to our knowledge anyway. So we tried different things and we made mistakes. But then, so our core values is GREAT, great. So to have the grit, the respect, respect our users, respect everyone, empathy for the pain points, and agility to refine. So the agility part of it is just, it's not just a sprint, it's a marathon. It's actually sprints within marathon. There's a lot of keep going at it, and of course, trust. So think why developers and our clients say yes to us, because I think ultimately they trust us. We are there, we are approachable, we are sincere, we have a conviction that we're pushing for something better for everyone, right? Our why is work better together. So even among ourselves, we want to work better together with technology, work better together with data, work better together within your teams. And that's the core of why we do what we do.
Fair enough. Okay, finally we can go to pricing. Right?
Yeah.
It is very interesting. You had some experience in your F&B manufacturing days of learning about pricing and all that. So again, without revealing sensitive information, what was the approach? Because this is one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs also struggle with. How much your price? Do I check online to see how much competitor charging, whatever?
So this video is made online. So even maybe our clients will see this. So how would you answer?
Yes. I never said that this was an easy interview.
I have to correct myself. Earlier you were saying that our pricing or we probably cost about I think you are right. We cost about less than 1% of the GDV, right? Much lesser than that, lah. So it depends on the GDV.
It's a cost saving for a lot of your developer.
Well, 5% is inclusive of all these marketing fees, all the marketing campaigns. So yeah, I have to correct myself on that. Okay, pricing. Yeah, it's a very interesting question. But back then we also don't know because we have no reference. When we Google, we try to compare. So we can't find anywhere around the world. So in fact, there's a joke, right? That back then when we first started, we want to charge on our mortgage referral. Do you know what we did? We actually, three of us, take I think 10 ringgit, 20 ringgit, 50 ringgit. Put it into a ballot box and say, hey, how much you want to charge?
That's on the average.
That's on the mortgage.
That was for the mortgage. Referral.
So we just did, okay lah. This is a 50 ringgit. Oh, okay, we charge 50 ringgit.
Wow.
Because back then we don't really got no reference. Don't know what to charge. This was like during 2015 lah. Because some of the developers say, hey, how you want to charge me on the referral to use your mortgage referral software? So we don't know. So then actually how we actually started also, we test lah. You have to test the market by trying. You feel that, okay, I think this is what the market can afford to pay. Then you test it out with one pricing, probably for a good 6 months. Then that's how we also started. I think our very early days, our cheapest subscription was 8,000, and then second was
this is 8,000
per year, unlimited. Then 20,000, then 50,000.
So it's an annual subscription.
Yes, it's an annual subscription. So
8,000, then
20, then 50. Depending on number of users.
This was much earlier.
It's much earlier. Right. So we don't mind to review this also. So then as we grow and meet more clients, I think you get to meet clients and say, hey, I need more. I need more than this. I need this. I need that. I need that. So that's how we also price it differently. We say, hey, you need this. Then I'm gonna add on cost to it. Right. This is how much. Can you Then we send in by quotation. Then they go lah. That's how you start to feel your way that, hey, actually, in fact, they can pay slightly more. And then when you reach a certain stage, they can't. In general, maybe out of the 10, 8 say no to your price already. That's where you adjust back, right? That's how we price our product over the last 7 years lah. We really test the market.
Also, it's knowing our ideal user base, because we can't be that tool for everyone. Right?
Yes.
Of course, our goal is standardization and to be affordable as much as possible. But we also need to know who our ideal customers are and price accordingly the value of it, and then scale from there. But I remember there was one time one of our competitors, the head of sales, left and then told us very openly and blatantly, says that the way we price it made it very hard for them to justify and for it to continue. And because the consideration really is the team that we have and running the business, right? But I think ultimately is the value we provide and the problem that we're solving. And we've come to this point where we are very reasonable, and all our clients are happy to, because they've really seen it. Early on, it was more like, does it work? Can it work? But now it's more like,
this is the proven concept.
It's the standard, yeah.
So right now with like 120 over developers, do you have like, standardized packages, or is it still very bespoke?
We have the basic, what we call core, developer core. Then we also have the developer core also separated into like a number of users. So we do have like a 5 user, 20 user, or unlimited. So depending, because in the market there are different types of segment of developers. There are very large one, the large enterprise. Those are very bespoke because their want is different, because they want something very customized to them. So our solution also cater to that segment. Of course, then that has to be a different pricing altogether. Then we have a very standard one that we talk about the second tier, and then the mid tier, and the very small. So we do have pricing for different segment of developers. Yeah.
Right. So when you look at the revenue contribution from, breaking down these segments, I'm not sure how many tiers you break it up into, but let's say there's the big and the rest. So what would you say is the contribution from the big guys? So this would be the famous names versus the not so famous names. We happen to have those stats.
Currently, I'll say probably about 60-40.
60 big guys.
No, 60 in fact.
Small guys.
Small mid.
Okay.
We serve a lot of mid one, right? Because our pricing we intentionally price it that way also. So that because in the market, in fact in Malaysia we have about, I would say in REDA is Real Estate Association Housing Developer, Real Estate Housing Developer Association Malaysia. It is kind of like the association for all the developers in Malaysia. According to REDA database, there are about 1,500 to 1,600 members. Then there are those non-REDA members, probably a couple hundred. So I would say in general about 2,000. But of course, not all 2,000 are active.
Yes.
Right. If you talk about active developers, are those that build. They will sure have one project every year. This is where our definition of active developers lah. So this, in fact, our 120 developers in Malaysia are mostly the active developers, right? So they sure have a project, a small one or mid-size or even township, right? So why 60% are mainly from this mid to small is because we are not just focusing on Klang Valley. In fact, our two bigger territory will be Penang and Sarawak.
Bigger than KL?
Sizable.
So these three are the...
Yeah. So KL, Klang Valley, we call it, we don't Klang really Valley, have KL. So Klang Valley, the whole Klang Valley, of course, is our biggest territory. Then next is Penang, Northern region, and Sarawak.
Interesting.
So there are a lot of, like I said, mid to small developers, but who are active. Yeah. Right. In Malaysia. Yeah.
So give us a sense as far as the revenue is concerned. How has the growth rate been so far? Maybe year on year, 3 years, 5 years?
2020 was our good year. We grew about 3x compared to 2019. That's where we really grew exponentially lah. Also because 2019 is where we raised our fund via pitch in. So that's where we started to grow our team, almost double our team before. So then and COVID hits, and then we were able to do that kind of scale lah.
You didn't have to so-called retrench anybody during COVID?
In fact, COVID no. But after that, actually after COVID is where we got a little bit of hiccup.
Slow down.
Because of the tech, I wouldn't say the tech slump, or rather the funding winter. Right? So beginning of late 2021, the whole, and then until now. Right. Yes. So because in the past 6 years or 7 years or so, we survive on all these new fundings lah, right? Ever since late 2021, we don't get the interest from investors that much anymore because everyone's pulling handbrake, right? Because of height of interest rate in US, and then all the funds was like, hey, let's look and see, really take a look and see approach first. So we didn't retrench, but we took a approach of no new hire, no new replacement. So any one of our team members actually start going or start leaving, then we won't hire anymore. The only thing that we probably closed down, or rather I wouldn't say retrench, is we closed down a small division of ours is a media division. It's about 4 or 5 headcounts there. Why? Because during COVID, it boomed. Media, help developers to do virtual launch and all this, doing video shooting. Then during the 2021, almost everyone, is doing all this shooting online and then do all the videos online. So it gets very crowded in 2021. So, and then we had to until 2022, we were thinking, hey, we need to consolidate our team because we don't have new funding coming in. So we have to look into our top line, bottom line. In fact, 2022, we had quite a flat revenue growth, or rather there's no growth, right? In 2022, we have the result of really consolidate our team size and also how we approach the market also. We go back to our core, whereby to serve developers, to really focus on what we have been doing well. Then actually, in fact, there was, I would say internally, we also think that was a good call. If we don't do that, we may went into some financial problems lah.
Right.
Yeah. Then we have to resort to really mass retrench, which is never nice. Never nice. Yeah.
And there's team of 6,
about 65, 66 now, including our Indonesian team. Yeah. So yeah.
So what is the largest cost? I mean, of course, it's the people.
Yeah.
But are the developers the main cost, or other people within the organization?
When you say developers, are coders, right?
Coders.
Yeah, okay. Yes, our biggest cost, I would say about 80% is our OPEX.
People,
yeah, people. So our biggest team is still our developers, the coders. That consists about probably 50% of our headcount, and we have product team, and we also have design team. So these three I would say technical team consists probably 62 or 3% of our total headcount.
Right. So I mean, maybe I go back to just on the fundraising bit, because I think Quek mentioned a lot about it. I would assume that there are a lot. Funding was probably a bit easier than getting developers, right? Was that the case?
Well,
I know you did ECF pitching, right? Things like that.
Yeah. After going to the market and doing this for a while now, we realized that our approach had to be different, because we're not B2C, we're B2B, right? So we realized a lot of the big raise were coming from B2C companies, and we were B2B. Secondly is property. Not everyone gets the real estate market. It's something that it's like, a vertical that people are not familiar with, we realize, in the funding scene. And that was the things that those were the two things that we had to be mindful of when we talk to investors. Thankfully, when we raised via pitching ECF, our approach was to really just to build trust, put ourselves out there. People see us, hear our story,
easy to find,
and what we're trying to do. And I think even the pitch-in team were very surprised, because the profile of investors that came in were a different type of investors, who were more property savvy, and at that time was the highest raise at that time.
Highest raise for pitch-in.
Yeah. At that time, right?
Okay.
So our approach was just really to build trust and to build this whole vision of a connected ecosystem that has a solid profitability towards transaction, and that was the thing. So I think at that time there were a lot of interest, but it has to be quite a specific type of investor. It's not everyone. So that's why now people come to us. So we are kind of like
choosy,
a bit more choosy, because it is something that not everyone gets, and we understand that and we respect that as well. But the upside or the potential is huge, because you're talking about real estate. Imagine, I mean, for anyone, what's the largest asset size you will own? A property, right? You can't go any.
Most people's net worth are tied to their house.
Exactly. But it is a big mountain, and people will see it, they say, wow, this mountain is so high up.
Scary.
It's very scary. So not everyone has that kind of appetite or that kind of knowledge and know-how. But we are thankful. There are people who see it and see the potential. And once, and that's why the journey is a bit longer, I would say, than most. We expected to like make it in 3-5 years.
Yeah.
In our naive younger days. But as we go deeper and as we decided, this is what we're taking on actually. This is the mountain that we're scaling, something which is not so straightforward. It's very complex. There's many stakeholders, there's many different things. It's not just one solution. The market demands us to build an end-to-end solution. So same goes to investors.
Yeah.
Investors, only a handful come to us and say they get it. And once they get it, they come in, right? But it's not for everyone. I mean, upfront, I can say that it is something that is. But once we reach the top, which we see ourselves there, I believe those who are with us and journeying with us will definitely also enjoy the reaps or the rewards as we reach the top. Yeah.
So one question, this is for Quek, is that if I were an investor, suppose let's say you're looking for funding now and I'm a prospective investor, one concern that I would have, ironically, is the fact that you have 40% of this primary residence transaction, which means that you are already one of the biggest, if not the biggest in the space.
Yeah.
And how you convince me that the revenue growth trajectory, the runway is still very big, because already at 40%, it means that you've already got a big chunk of the pie.
Yeah.
So the only way to grow, which cannot be the past 7 years, because past 7 years was gaining market share, a non-existent pie, you all created that pie in that sense. The only way is that the pie grows, right? Where do you think basically the sales of the company could grow? The total addressable market, in other words.
Okay. If you look at what we are doing currently, and if you just look at Malaysia, it's definitely not sexy, right? Malaysia, no matter what, we are probably there's still 33 million population. It's not really huge, it's not really small. So and you reach a stage that the number of developers or number of developments will become slightly plateau before it start, the growth. I'm talking about the growth, right? So in the past, we also faced this challenge of explaining how big is our market, right? So I think now the fact that we already expanded to Indonesia, that opens up a whole new horizon, right? Indonesia's population size is 8-9 times larger than Malaysia, right? So the number of developments and they are young population, right? They need the desire to own houses is huge, right? New townships being built. Now they even have government has plans to move their capital to Nusantara.
Jakarta right? is more expensive than KL already.
Exactly. The rent is crazy, right?
I've heard,
So the food price is also very, actually compared to Malaysia, some of the food, I remember that McDonald's is already higher than us.
And this is converted, right? Not dollar to dollar. So dollar to dollar will even.
So then So having said that, we already started expanding there. So that opens up a new avenue for us. And we have just done our localization plan or our globals version. So we actually got a grant from MDEC. It's called Global Technology Grant that allowed us to actually they co-fund some of our development for scaling purposes. So we have done our version 1. So I think that itself is going to be a huge market for us.
Yes.
And then we also, once we start to grow into Indonesia, we also want to target Vietnam, Philippines.
Yeah.
These are all the growing markets, right? So, and then a lot of, let's talk about economists and a lot of analysts is looking at Southeast Asia as the next growth.
The next China.
Yeah, next China, precisely. So we also betting on this, and we think apart from Malaysia, our home turf, we're going to double down into Indonesia, Vietnam, because we are ready compared to 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah.
So with Indonesia, what has been the challenges so far? So now I just share my experience talking to other entrepreneurs, and even for my own business also, like we cover like Malaysian stocks, a bit of foreign stocks. There's always a bit of hesitation or challenges with going regional, not because of the ease of doing it. It's quite easy to do it actually, but as a whole, ASEAN is quite it's a very fragmented place.
It is.
Geographically, we look fragmented already. God knows how many islands are there in Philippines and Indonesia.
Yeah.
Then also culturally, we are so different, right? I think outside of Malaysia and Indonesia, where they have some sort of similar language, in Philippines, you have something totally different to Vietnam, to Thailand, and all this. So this fragmentation meant that most companies, even though there's a 600 million population market in ASEAN, most companies will not be able to tap into that scale. To my mind, only 2 companies, Grab and AirAsia, so far. So maybe share with me some of the experiences starting with Indonesia. How has that challenges been from regulations, culture, things like that?
Let me start first. Because for Indonesia, it's a little bit, I would say, easier for us because we didn't start from ground zero.
Mm-hmm.
Because we acquired this company called Sales Candy. So Sales Candy already existed in Indonesia for probably 2-3 years already. So and they have done all the the initial groundwork and sell it to the respective developers, open the market for us . So when we acquire Sales Candy, that itself already been allowing us to have a bit more solid foundation, because when we already have all the database of developers that we have or Sales Candy has met in the past 2-3 years, and then we just need to go one circle to meet all these potential developers to tell them, hey, look, we have additional features or products that you can use apart from what Sales Candy or apart from what you are using, right? So that itself has actually helped us to speed up our market access and customer acquisition. So, and then we also have a small team there, focusing on hunting for new leads, new business. So we feel it will be I'm pretty sure the go-to-market there is much simpler and easier compared to 7 years ago of MHub in Malaysia. So and now we are more ready, and we know what the market wants, and we don't need to do the product market fit anymore. We just need to localize certain features so that the Indonesian developers will want this type of features, right? Probably the 10 to 15%, which we already done the very initial phase . So next is just do what we did best in the past, listen to their feedback, and continue to enhance certain features that, like you say, the whole market is so fragmented, right? You just need to really do something that cater to the local needs. That's why we build it. Our back end is on a modular basis, right? So every market we enter, we have to localize certain things. Similar like Grab. If you go to Indonesia, there are certain things that the features are there for Indonesian market, not available in Malaysia. If you go to Thailand, same thing. So we are doing that. We are learning from them. We are doing that for this market.
What are some of the differences you've discovered so far between what Malaysian developers want and what
the biggest thing is probably taxation. How they recognize tax differently than Malaysia. And another one is how they will see certain like the processes of can you receive booking first, or do you need to like what should I say? They have an installment plan, right? Installment plan within before even you get a full loan installment from the banks.
Oh.
Yeah, because developers there offer their own installment plan. So as the deposit, and go back to the deposit, because affordably there, it may, and interestingly, especially Vietnam and Indonesia, only probably the whole, maybe I would say the whole world that I know of, Malaysia is one of the market that offer very high loan margin. One of the very unique market that can offer 90% loan, even 100% loan. Yeah. That few countries. Usually like market like in Indonesia, they only offer up to 60%, 70%. So you have to fork out 30% cash by yourself. How many can actually afford that?
Singapore is the same, so it's 25%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what?
No wonder they need the installment.
Precisely. So what developer did was, you pay me as an installment for that. Maybe 48 months. You just pay me this while I'm still building the houses before I hand over to you. Right? You know what I mean? So they try to address that gap. Right, because banks only can finance up to 70%, 60%. So then, takat I don't sell, right? I still need to sell. So these are the few things that we have to localize and change. So yeah.
Wow. So, yeah. I mean, adding on to that, it's true really that we need to hyper localize a lot of things. But at the same time, we are modular, so we can go in with the more universal needs. And every market would have standard things that they're looking into, and that's how we will start with that and scale up from there. But going back to your earlier question about growth opportunities, I think definitely scaling outside of Malaysia is a big one, right? Indonesia first, Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand. But even in Malaysia itself, we are because our users are currently using. I mean, not all of them are end-to-end yet. Some of them are using marketing solutions, sales, process, property management. So there is still growth opportunities.
There's still a lot of upsell opportunities within
cross-sell
your bond,
our user base. And also it follows their own property sales journey, their own project journey, right? The other, of course, exciting growth opportunity is in our mortgage and our loans, our finance, fintech side of things, which is like we mentioned, we're coming back full circle to do that, and we already have some partnerships with banks. So those are the growth opportunities besides just the 40% that you mentioned.
And the last one, you're saying the mortgage one, is how will you all monetize that? What's the monetization for that? I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
The monetization is coming from, obviously would be from the banks lah.
Yeah.
Because
they give you a card or something like that?
They will pay us more of a percentage, a small cut from the loan that we actually refer to them, and also we are looking into some of the banks. We are looking at being their partners, sales partners, or rather become their brokers. So we facilitate the entire application submission. The only thing we don't do is the approval, right?
Yes,
so yeah. So what we do is perhaps because to banks, the cost to income ratio is a big thing, right? And then usually their staff costs and their branches, these are always add to their cost to income margin. So what we do is we try to help them on this cost saving, right? Because they pay us on a success basis, right? So this is our narrative to them. This is how we do business with them, right? So they don't need to pay us because they engage us, they don't need to pay us monthly fee and all this. So it's always on a success basis. That's how we charge them.
So if I recall, Jason, earlier on you mentioned that there's 4 to 5 different verticals they have, right? From the legal to the marketing, all this, right?
Yeah.
And one thing interesting you mentioned just now is this upsell opportunity. How many of your clients, right, actually take the full suite?
The end-to-end.
The end-to-end.
I think I got the numbers. The real end-to-end, I would say still probably less than 10%, to be honest, of our full client of 150, including Indonesia. I mean, the main reason is because we started with our core, and then we added our modules like the marketing suite, the post sales, and the property management, probably 1 year or 2 years after that. And we didn't introduce like at one go. We also introduced in stages, right? So certain products are more matured than the rest. So therefore, I would say, if you want to, give you some numbers, we probably our post sales suites probably consists of maybe 30% of the entire clientele. Then our marketing suites probably higher because it actually started much earlier, about 40% to 50%. Then the last one, the very small one will be the property management suite. That one probably about 10 to 15%. So this is where Jason mentioned the cross-sell opportunity, upsell opportunity will be there, right? And also we start to move into what we call account management mode, right? That means we are hiring account managers rather than hunter, right? So because we feel that
support is very important.
Yeah, support, and also we have to make sure our clients stay with us. We have probably quite high, I would say, higher than industry standard or whatever. I don't know, we don't have a reference. We have about 90% retention rate so far. Wow. So I would say it's pretty good, right? It's sticky because when a developer start engage us, they will use us probably the next 5 years, right? Yeah. Until they hand over. And then when they launch a new project, they have to continue again. Yeah. Right, so the stickiness is there. So then it opens up an opportunity for us. That's why we are going into account management mode, is because we want our account managers not just hunt for a new one, always hunt for a new. No, we want them to grow with the client. We want them to tell the client, hey, I'm here to stay to help you to do better, so that I also do better. So it's grow together.
So also our solutions map towards the developer's own journey. So some of them are still early stage of their development. So they want to focus more on marketing and sales. And then when it's done with when the sales is at the peak of it, then it's got the post sales. And then the property management is the resident communication, the VP. And so it's very much dependent on where they are at. But I would say that it makes sense and most developers want the end-to-end because of one thing, which is data. They want to know what marketing spend, what's the ROI, what is the conversion and efficiency, and end to end. Like they get to see, because with the information they can make more informed decisions. Yeah. And make less expensive decisions. Yeah.
How much of sales right now is already is non-Malaysian?
Non-Malaysian, probably about 20%. Yeah, 20%.
And how long ago was it zero?
Okay, because also we started not from ground zero, because we acquired Sales Candy.
Right.
Yeah, Sales Candy itself already had a certain base. So yeah, if you see how long, technically 1 year ago.
1 year ago. So like with regards to acquisition, now that you mention it, was Sales Candy your first acquisition, or
yes, I see. It's our first.
So will that be the game plan even for the next few months? Are you going to focus more on acquisitions rather than building, let's say, a subsidiary ground up? What's the consideration?
That's okay. I would say we will not discount this approach in the future, because it's obviously the fastest to gain entry to a market, and also gain entry to a solid customer base. So I think what we also try to do is we already have the ecosystem. So what we are trying to also focus at is by leveraging on our partners' strength to bring more user to us. So we were trying to also doing something like open up our APIs or open up integration for more players to work with us. Then because you see, when you are in a B2B space, you cannot set all the rules for your clients, because the user will say that, hey, I want a certain way, different than my other competitor, so for us to really cater to everyone's needs, you need to make it so flexible so that they also want maybe the other party or even our so-called competitors' product in certain module, but they want you in certain module. Then they want to marry two of you. We say no. We say, why not?
Your software engineers must be cursing you.
Yeah, that's why the challenges. Yes, it is because we're always cracking our head on how to open up, how to make it so flexible that eventually the client can dictate. Okay, I want this, but you are the core. Why not?
Yeah, because it's always. I mean, the balance is it's easy to say yes, right? And then when you say yes, then you go back to the team. All right, this is how you have to do. Then they just stare at you. They stare at each other.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So maybe just the final aspect on the business, which is I haven't really touched a lot about, is actually hiring and managing a team. Managing 2-3 people, or just among 4 of you, is very different from 65. Maybe you can share with me your own management philosophy from hiring, then tracking their progress, their satisfaction levels, and then of course, if there's conflict and people want to move on, to other competitors or whatever, how do you manage that whole thing?
I would say our approach to building our team. Okay, we call them Team Hub, right? So we are quite proud of the team that we have right now. Actually, I think our approach is, when we bring them on board, is these are people that's going to spend a season of their life with us, right? So they have to have not just skills, that is what we're looking for, but culture fit. Culture fit is very important, because we don't make the mistakes of Silicon Valley. We always talk about it. The wrong hire can just really bring toxicity up.
Even though on paper, it works, right?
Exactly. Paper is not enough. In fact, there were times where I interview and paper, they perfect or whatever. And then when I did a quick reference call or message during the interview, I'm hearing all kinds of things, right? The KYC, I know your potential hire or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we were quite clear upfront of the kind of people that we want in our team, people that displays our culture. So it's really not just about paper qualifications. In fact, some of our hires, they're not even graduates.
Oh.
Yeah, but their skill sets far exceeds maybe a typical graduate, and I think we want to give them opportunities to grow, right? So while they come on board and they grow with us, they are also growing their skill set, and we are okay with that, right? As long as the culture fit, as long as their attitude is important, their character is important. There's no point having all the skills, but your characters, no. So we don't want that kind of team. We want, and also our approach is that, right now, actually, the team works 2 days in 2 weeks, on site. Yeah. Very, very good arrangement, right?
Even for the sales guy, the
tech team, engineering,
every
design.
department.
Yeah. 2 days in 2 weeks, we are in the office for sure. But there are other meetings, town halls, and all that.
2 days every 2 weeks.
Yes.
So once a week.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, right now.
So the office must be very small.
The office is big. but we allow for that kind of flexibility. We allow for that kind of, again, going back to trust, we trust. But there are things in place where there's tracking, stand-ups, and OKRs,
the big meetings, everybody should be there.
Yeah, our town halls especially.
Town halls.
So I think we have different things in place, like even clear goals, like OKRs, the company. What is it that we want to achieve for this quarter, for example? and the tracking tools are in place that everyone can actually, while they're working remotely, but they are also on point in the deliverables. So, and that's been working out for us pretty well so far.
What is the culture, by the way? You mentioned culture. What would you say is the Team Hub culture?
Right. Team Hub, our core values is, like I mentioned, the grit.
Right.
GREAT, right? Grit, respect, empathy, agility, and trust. So these are things that we thought really hard. And I remember quite rushing, hey, we need our deck in place. We need the culture side of it. Then I was taking a while, taking longer because I don't want to just rush it out. I took a long time to think about it because it has to be something that we practice ourselves and we believe in and we embody. So then when we came up with this, we shared it with the team, and it's something we revisit over and over again. What does it mean to have grit, to never give up, not to fall down 7 times and get up 8 times, right? What does it mean to have respect, right, for our teammates, for our clients, for the things that we're building? You know, what does it mean to have empathy, to actually feel the pain points, right? And agility, even when we talk about agile principles, there's also a subset, A.1, A.2, A. How we practice agility and how we move fast, you know, how we fail and refine. And of course, the big one is trust. How, you know.
So what are red lines, you know, that you give your staff that this is not acceptable? I mean, for example, I've heard some, you know, business owners says, you know, they have a zero tolerance for, let's say, gossip. At the minute they hear this, you know, talking about, they're out. If some people think that if someone lower wants to bypass their manager and go straight to the leader to complain,
sure.
and say no such thing.
Yeah, we try to keep open culture, open and
they're very flat, right?
Flat in a sense. All of us are very approachable. We try to spend time because, like I mentioned, we are spending time of our lives together. So let it be an enjoyable time, right? When we are together, we work happily together towards a
work hard, play harder.
Yeah, exactly. But I think trust is given. But I think what happens if the trust is broken, that is a big one that we're like, oh no. Yep. Because actually, by default, we already trust. Which is some people may say,
right? Like
some people may say that, hey, that's not very smart, but I think that's something that it's a risk that we're taking. It's being very vulnerable. It's like, okay, we trust you, especially now with the remote work arrangement. We trust you. But if that trust is broken, it's going to be very hard to come back to that place.
Do you have any, maybe you can share some horror hires?
Horror hires.
Without naming, of course. Describe your worst hire.
We always have a good hires. Okay, I wouldn't say horror hires. Yes. I would say mismatch of expectation from both sides. Or mismatch of personalities. Yeah. So you see, I think echo back what Jason mentioned, trust. Definitely is number one thing, red flag. If you break the trust, we even like telling all our interviewees during our first interview or maybe final interviews, we really mention Kao to them. Hey, we all like especially salespeople. You know, I mean, among founders, probably Jason, I, and Joshua, we have done sales in our personal capacity, right? So we know how to, you know, sneak, how to cheat, right? How to
the loopholes,
you know, the loopholes, right?
Yeah.
The shortcuts. I wouldn't say cheat, you know, how to do all this. So we tell the salespeople, look, if you need a break or you need to, you know, maybe a half a day to do your personal thing, then you will compensate later on or whatever lah. Please tell us. Don't, you know, come and give me nonsense excuse and say, hey, you know, just because they try to cover one hole, you know, dig one hole and cover another, we can smell it lah. We say that, you know, once you break that trust, you're gone lah. So that is very important. So going back to the not so good hire in the past, it's also probably we got a few. One is, I would say, something that we learned in the past is sometimes you have what I call a positive bias, not just negative bias.
Positive bias, okay.
That means when you look at the CV, sometimes you say, hey, wow, from big companies, wow, must be good.
Can't fail.
Yeah, no, it was like, wow, okay. Because we were back then still smaller, and even now we're growing. So we say, hey, from Big Four, from all these big names are sure good lah. But sometimes I wouldn't say they are not good. It's just that perhaps the culture may not fit into our setup, and perhaps certain skill set that, like I said, the mismatch of expectation from both sides. Right, perhaps we had a certain different type of expectation initially, then the person couldn't deliver. So I cite an example that this person that actually came, and then we thought that he's actually pretty good in what he's doing, but after 2 years of trying, in fact, my mentor in Vistage actually helped me to calculate.
Oh, you're in Vistage?
Yeah, I'm in Vistage, by the way. Yeah, in this VEE group lah.
Yeah.
So we did this exercise. Actually, how much losses you actually incur as a result of
him there.
Wrong hire, because we keep on trying. Instead of we go and do a performance review, we thought that he can do it. It's actually millions. Because we lost, I think, a couple of deals because of that mistake that we thought that he can solve. And we still continue to believe after 2 years.
Wow.
Right? So that was a very expensive mistake. Again, back to, it's not a horror hire, it's more of, again, mismatch of expectation.
It's a two-way thing because we are hiring them and because we see their potential in them. But at the same time, we are also responsible to help them to reach their full potential.
Every fire is a mistake, right? In that sense.
Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking very hard. That questions you caught me off guard. I have to think if there are any. Then I found one already.
Yeah.
I found one. Short hire lah, but he was with us, but at the same time he was spending a lot of time with our competitor.
Ooh.
Right, and also in a public space, I went out and saw, what's this guy doing together, right? So that was a while back.
Oh, that's how you caught on lah. It was random.
Yes.
Wow.
So he was like, I was going to cafe and then they see us and then they were like make a U-turn away. So we all be trying to avoid because they don't want to be seen. So trust lah. Go back to trust again.
So when you saw that straight away, the next day you told him, hey, I saw you.
I think he was being dishonest in many other things.
Wow.
So in the end, we just had to make that call. But he wasn't performing anyway, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't even performing. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. So what has been, you would say, okay, I'll come back to this question later on. One more stakeholder that I do want to ignore, very important one, is your board.
Oh.
Okay. There is a downward management and there's upward management as well. How has it been, dealing with a board, right? Because obviously, if you're in a small company starting out, there's no board. You are above board, right? And now you are not, right? And because I see your board membership thing, I think there's like six. Yeah. Maybe walk me through the experience so far, because it must have been a relatively new experience also, right? Have board members.
Yeah, our board members consists of actually 3 of us from the founding team. One is our Victor, who is actually also our so-called
chief business officer.
He's also a seed investor. And 2 other board members are actually our angel investors, like very early. So to be honest, so far so good. Because all 6 of us are still pretty much because we started in the early days together, right? And Victor is very much involved in the business. Dato Sri Yo and his wife were our angel investor long time ago. So the relation is there. What we do is we have to keep each other accountable. That's one. Number 2 is also because I'm actually managing that myself more, because this part of stakeholder management, as a CEO, I need to handle more lah, because of managing not just about board lah, also investors, right? Because sometimes investors, certain substantial investors also you need to handle, answer their questions and this and that. So going back to board is still okay. So far so good.
Okay. So we're coming towards the end a little bit. So just maybe 2 or 3 more questions. What has been the hardest decision that you have to make in this 8-year journey, would you say? And obviously you don't have to sync up your answers, right? Maybe you have different
We have to sync up. Okay.
He said don't have to. Yeah. I think a big one is that yes, during the post-COVID period, Quek did allude to the challenging times, and to keep things manageable on the P&L, we did not want to let people go, right? We tried to our best to fight for the team. So I think the challenging thing, or one of the biggest one, was to compensate in other ways. We didn't let anyone go, but we had to adjust the salary a bit. But we replaced it with some equity. So that was a interesting structure that we did. We didn't just outright let go, but we gave them some ownership.
How much of the company is employee owned?
A bit about 1%.
Okay.
Right now.
Yeah.
About 1%.
Yeah. And another one for me is, like he mentioned earlier, about we had a media team, which we were doing. We had big plans for it, actually, to be the marketing arm for different projects. And it was a very vibrant, talented team, which we believe in them, right? And we pushed really hard, right? But I think we had to make that call when we wanted to consolidate. And after some months of doing it, we had to make that decision. Is this something that we can keep going? And we did that conversation. While it wasn't easy, I'm thankful that the team was understanding. They understand, and they also saw it, because I think I try to be as transparent as possible. So I explain the why of everything. So some people say, "Oh, Chong, hey, I talk so much," but I think it helps to know where we're coming from.
We live on a good note, lah.
Exactly. Of course, we are still doing some projects on and off, and in fact, some of them still say, "Hey, when got a chance to come back, right?" Because they went to another company and it's like, "Oh, not the same, and we want to come back here."
They need a great culture.
Yeah. Exactly. So that was, for me, some of the more challenging and big decisions that wasn't easy.
Yourself?
Yeah, same. I think pretty much the same. I wanted to say that
so
also.
Sync,
yeah, sync.
Okay.
Sync. Yeah.
Okay. So say you could, go back in time and you meet your younger selves, at the bak teh store, or drawing the money lots to see how much you can price. What would be the things that you would share to your younger selves? And I think this is also a very helpful question to anyone, including myself, who are somewhat early in our entrepreneurship journey, or maybe we have been doing it for a while but we feel stuck. What would be your top advice be?
If it was like, what would I change type of question, I can't say I would change anything, but in retrospect, I think I'll be more thankful, or more grateful for certain things that happened the way they did. For example, there were a few moments where we wanted to work with some people, and we thought, okay, this is it. This person, so-and-so investor or so-and-so partner, is coming on board, and it's going to make things so much easier. And we were there, like, very optimistic, almost celebrating and all that. Then we realized, they're pulling out for different reasons, right? They pulled out. And then we found out sometimes it's political reasons, right? Sometimes it's some other things. And fast forward, few months after that, few years later, and we were like, so thankful that they didn't come in.
Yeah.
Because the closed doors were if we were to be with certain partners, it would be disastrous.
Wow.
Right? So sometimes, if it's not meant to be, because I'm a man of faith, and sometimes I believe that even a closed door is a good thing, right? Open doors, closed doors. So sometimes closed doors we don't understand it at the time. It may be painful for the rejection, but in due time, it makes sense. So for me, I wouldn't sweat those kind of closed doors. I wouldn't sweat those rejections because it may have been for the better, right? And in fact, right now, we are I would say on point, on trajectory to where we want to be. Only thing is it's taking longer than what we expected. But truth be told, we're just enjoying the journey. So I would say to myself is enjoy the journey more
than the outcome.
I would say to you or to anyone else, just try to enjoy the journey. I mean, of course, there's going to be moments of challenges and doubt and hard times. But I think definitely the journey itself is the valuable thing because you learn from it, you grow from it. And I would say being thankful again for strong partnership and strong friendship where we can just shoulder the hard times together and enjoy the good times together. I think that's the very key thing because being a single founder, it's not an easy thing. And sometimes people even investors. So, advertisement, okay, those who want to work with MJ. It's not easy and it can be very lonely and sometimes you get stuck.
Yeah.
But many times when we are stuck, we talk among ourselves first and then we get unstuck that way. Or at least we get to talk about it and then see what we process it together. Right.
Before I get over to Quek's answer, I think you raised a good point. And I think a lot of people have this view where perhaps they got burned once with a partnership and they will swear off partnership. Like never get into partnership. Like it's the worst thing ever. Obviously, you guys disagree, obviously, right?
Yeah, we disagree. Right. Yes.
So, yes, what would be your advice?
I think I'm very fortunate to get good partners. It's memang not easy. Like you said, a lot of people got burned. In fact, a lot of failed startup just because they have a very bad relationship with their co-founders, and then the business is growing so well, but just because fall out, then they have to close down, or one got burned out, then they have to leave, and then left one single founder, then carry on the burden, and then in the end they still call it a day. So we have seen so many, because when we first started, we got peers starting together, a lot of them, industry, and a lot actually raised a good amount of money, some more than us, but fortunately we have each of us, each other to actually shoulder the burden. And we really like what Jason mentioned, when I'm stressed, I'll say, hey, seriously, I can't take it myself. I will call them, hey, let's go out for yum cha, or chill out. Or sometimes, Joshua or John will say, hey, let's go for a trip together, a short trip, no need to talk about business. Just unwind and, let's talk shit together, and then let's maybe, just try to clear out our doubts among ourselves, because we have friction when we do certain things among ourselves. So we also need to clear that. So I think what will I tell my younger self is perhaps apart from enjoying, which I will tell myself also, the younger self, enjoying the journey. I think when we first started, apart from enjoying, is also as a co-founder, as a leader in the startup, you need to make tough decision certain times. So somewhere that tough decision, it's 50-50, right? 50 chances of fail, 50 chances of successful, or maybe there's no impact at all, right? Probably there are 3 kinds of outcome. Sometimes I would say I will drag my decision, so that itself may be good, maybe no good. So sometimes I have the fear of making that decision, even though we have made so many decisions in our life, right? So what I would say that go with your heart, and what your heart tells you. Hey, your instinct, your entrepreneurial instinct will tell you, okay, make that call, stick to it, get the buy-ins from your co-founders, and just get them rally behind your decision and stick to that decision and chiong on it, because there's no right and wrong decision until I mean, many moons later, they only realize that actually I made a mistake. But you make a mistake is also good because you will know, you will learn how to do a better decision later on. Right. Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say among the founders, at least, maybe even the entire team, there is no I told you so culture, right? Of, let's say, if you mentioned friction and making these 50-50 decisions. Obviously, I'm sure there were situations on maybe certain crunch issues where there's 2v2 or 1v3, whatever it is, and you go ahead with one party, and then if that party really made the wrong decision, the other party is not there saying, see? Right.
We had that moment also.
Yeah.
But of course.
How do you handle this friction? Actually, what type of friction usually are you experiencing?
Internally, we actually set the rules. So we had that moment. Then we tell among ourselves, hey, look,
let's go there.
Yeah, let's go there. Because once you go there, it never ends.
Yeah.
And it will cause more friction.
Yeah.
Right. So we try to, not bury the friction, is basically talk things out. And we really practice R in our grade, the respect. We really respect for each other. We have a lot of respect for each other's work. Like I really, respect, admire Jason on the branding, on the design, all this. That is his forte. So I give all support, all of my support. So does him. He will give me all my support that when I reach a certain decision on what sort of corporate structure, how to on the vision or direction of the company, he would throw support to me because
it's not easy to be clear and decisive because nobody has a crystal ball.
Yes.
But our decision making process has always been like what he said. Okay, some of it is the art of it or the science of it, but sometimes it's just really it's an instinct, right? So
and the consensus
I think this conversation. Sometimes it's just nobody can get the perfect answer because again, but we can factor in everything around us and make the best decision for that time, and don't have regrets about it. I think that's a simple way of looking at it.
Then everyone just rally behind it. Don't say after 1 year say, hey, I told you we had that before, but we talk about ourselves. Don't mention it.
Yeah. It's a spiral. It's a downward spiral.
Yeah. It's gonna be you do more harm than if you were right, so what? Right? It doesn't bring you forward anymore. It's gonna just break you apart, right?
So we're in this together. Yeah. And we want to reach that goal together. That's an important thing.
That's great. So enough about the business. I just have one last bonus question, and that has to do with like your personal life, right? I think we started with personal, we'll end with personal, and
it's getting personal.
Yes. Are you working on anything exciting outside of work in your personal lives, or maybe even together or whatever that you'd like to share, shout out, projects, whatever it is?
Yeah, it's you're doing your family
project.
Planning. Family project. Is that considered one?
Well,
anything.
Well, I mean, I'm one that is juggling different things constantly, and people know me for that. Of course, a big bulk of it is MHub.
Yeah.
But outside of it is I'm active in my association, the Malaysian PropTech Association, which recently I came back in the second term as a deputy president. So serving the industry as a whole rather than just MHub to elevate. On top of that, different things are like you running a podcast as well called Rema Media, and volunteering in different organizations, keep myself busy. But in terms of priorities, family. That's a big one.
Myself, I think I start to realize that self-love is important. Sometimes in the past I've been, because part of this stage, I mean our mentor also tell us, sometimes in order for you to do more, you need to love yourself more, right? So because the spiritual thing, or your
internal,
not just physical and mentally, right, but you also need to be spiritually positive, right? So I think what I'm trying to do more is to love myself more. I start working out. I actually stopped for longest time, really. Start working out, start swimming, start really seriously looking after my health. And also,
it's very easy to give that excuse, right? Oh, I'm running a business. No time, like that.
Precisely. Literally, actually, last time, all of us will be really, just it's okay lah. Build business, no need to sleep, also okay. But actually, it's not good, right? Because I had some issue with my health early of the year, so I was like that was a wake up call. I said, hey, I need to look after myself really, really carefully, and also and then also COVID also made me realize that family support is also important, right? I can't just look after business, chong. Yeah. And then there's, when I go home, at least the whole grounded story of at home made me realize that, hey, actually my father also loved me a lot. Yeah. I mean, every morning you go and prepare a fruit salad for me. It's like, wow, okay, so touching. It's okay lah. So yeah, I mean, I felt that. I think self-love, because really I really neglected that a lot, and family as well. Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much for being on. Actually, there were so many. I don't know if you guys feel it this way, but I felt like it could have been a 4-hour podcast.
Oh, for sure.
There's so many things we didn't even touch. You know, I did a lot of things I didn't quite touch, like how much equity you give away when you're fundraising.
Wow.
Those
tough questions.
I didn't ask. I didn't ask the juicy questions of competitors.
Yes.
A lot of questions I didn't ask.
You can always invite us back. Yeah, we'd be happy to be here again.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Thank you for coming on. And guys, those listening, hope you found this of value. Wow, I'm quite sure you definitely found this. Yes, if people want to find you, how do they find you?
Our LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Just search for MHub.my on the website and on LinkedIn and on our socials. And even
emails.
hello@mhub.my is for MHub. But individually, if you just want to just connect with us for whatever reason, just feel free to just search for my name and Quek. I think we're very accessible.
All right, guys, you heard that. And, before you sign out, remember, if you're listening on YouTube, you can also listen to us on Spotify. If you're on Spotify, you can listen to us on YouTube. You get to see what they look like. And guys, thanks for staying all the way until the end. I hope to see you in the next pod. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay, bye. Thank you.